All right, we ready? And grab your bag and go. That's it. Move, move. Go, 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 go. One, Armani suits and run.
Right. Welcome to week 7, Armani Suits and Run. A 2-3 week. Got off to a bad start. Lost the London game, the 40 pick, with the Jags +2. Um, Peterson survived for the week, so 40 is not yet the coach killer. Although, like I said in the text, I think he's got Peterson on the ropes.
Yep.
And I guess we'll see if he's gonna go for the knockout punch this week. I know Kieran's got the video. I don't know. Kieran, have you watched it? Do you watch it or do you wait?
No, I wait.
Okay. All right. Um, so we lost that. And then Kieran had Titans -2.5. What was the final result of that game?
The touchdown game? Was it a touchdown game?
The touchdown game.
I'm not quite sure I even remember. Hold on, let me.
Twenty to
No, lost,
13?
lost to the Colts 20-17.
Okay, yeah.
Um, it was a 10-point fourth quarter from the Colts.
Hmm.
So went into the fourth with the lead. Um,
Yeah, most of that game I felt pretty good about it, and then it just slipped away at the end. But
yeah, yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, I guess, sometimes when you're kind of building your take off of it doesn't matter which quarterback plays or anything like that, then I feel like maybe there's sometimes a better play that you can find on the board if it's kind of up in the air like that. But yeah, I mean, I do think that Flacco still provides so much more stability for that team and makes them, uh, a much more palatable offense to, try and compete in games. So,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was like a good defensive start, and then Flacco was able to just remain steady and, get him in position to score points when they needed him.
Wait,
Yeah.
so last Thursday when we recorded, Richardson was the starter that I mean, I think everyone thought, right?
Yeah, I
That he
think that
was
they
gonna
were
be like
hinting
he
at
was like a
both
Flacco was like
Richardson
a
and Taylor
Saturday
playing.
night. Flacco felt like a Saturday night decision or like, announcement that he'd be starting. It was like a late
Yeah.
in the week. Late in the week. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was a weird game. Very Titans.
Yeah.
Very, very Titans.
So and then I was on the Commanders. We had them +6.5. Um, like pretty good football game. Early Washington was kind of hanging with them neck and neck, and then um, by the end of the third quarter, Baltimore, opened it up into a two-score game. Washington got it back to a one-score game with McLaurin's second TD. Um, Ravens got another field goal. They were up by 10 again, and Commanders were driving. Obviously with a sense of urgency towards the end of that game, but we needed them to go for the touchdown, and they settled for that field goal with the hope that they could get the ball back. So that was just unfortunate, to finish a half point outside. But I thought Commanders continue to look good. I mean, I think that was, one of those where, I mean, they're playing at Baltimore. I mean, I think Baltimore outgained them pretty significantly, but they showed a lot of moxie. They hung in there. Um, they definitely got something good there with Jaden Daniels and McLaurin. But I think at this point, in the season, I think maybe just a little outclassed. So
Rightfully so too. Like the
yeah, yeah,
Ravens are like class of the league. Like you knew that going into it. Like that
yeah,
wasn't a surprise that they came out and looked good. I mean, it's just like
yeah,
a
yeah. I think
toss up game.
I think I was leaning on. I thought Commanders had looked pretty good. They were riding a hot wave, getting 6.5 like that. I think the Ravens have looked good, but they've also had a couple games where they haven't, and
Mhm.
just felt like a big number for a team that was playing that well. But good litmus test for them. And like I said, I mean they were kind of hanging in there, and but just unfortunately, like I said, needed them to go for that touchdown. They settled for that field goal, and didn't get that back door. So um, so then all right. So at that point, we're 0-3. And, when you're 0-3, who do you turn to? You turn to your guy who's 0-5 on the season with Lions to pull you out of that hole. And that's what we got with Bowen. Lions -3, won in an absolute rout over the Cowboys, got us on the board, got himself on the board. What a moment. What a win. Couldn't have come at a better time for you.
Yeah, I needed that. Needed just an absolute blowout. I think it was the first drive of the game, the Cowboys went down, scored a field goal pretty quick, and I was like, oh boy, if the Cowboys are on and their offense is going and it becomes like a shootout, I think it was 3.5, is like could be a tricky number, you know what I mean, and like a good game. But the Lions, I didn't realize how personal they took it with the Cowboys, how that result, ended up with the ineligible lineman touchdown. They definitely took a lot of that with them into this game. Definitely like a um, revenge game for them, which I was not anticipating, or I kind of just like forgot that was even a factor. But easy one to get on the board for the season always feels good. Um, glad to be a part of the club. Finally through that threshold. So on to keep it going, keep it going. That's all I can do.
It's a great win. Great win. Um, so went into Monday night 1-3, and Kieran and Bowen, you guys were both on the Bills. I had gone with the Jets, but majority rules went with the Bills -2.5. We got another much needed win. Obviously didn't want to have another 1-4 week. I'd say at this point desperately needed a win. And I thought that game overall maybe a little closer than pretty competitive.
Yeah.
But again, Bills just kind of hung on, and I got another Rodgers costly turnover at the end there. Throwing his guy under the bus. What a teammate. Um, you know, Williams wouldn't have had to come back if he didn't underthrow the ball. But
Yep.
nice win. Good to get the cover by a half point. Good to be outside that number there and finish the week 2-3, finish strong. Any thoughts on that game?
It definitely didn't feel like a game that was gonna end as abruptly as it did. And when it did, it just was like, oh, like it's great. It kind of felt like it was going to overtime. Rodgers are gonna coast to that field goal at the end of the game. Like, no time on the clock, whatever, one of those, and overtime would be a toss up. But it's good for a game just to, get that, be ahead of the number a little bit. Like we feel like we haven't had many of those where we're on the right side of things, spread wise on those close ones. So it was a nice surprise, I'd say. Just like getting it how we got it was just like, oh, like
Yeah.
not bad. Just gotta that throw was terrible by Rodgers. He had Brees all wide open in the flat for like a 10-15 yard gain, like minimum. So it
Pretty
felt
pretty wild too. I mean, you go back and look at
2 minutes left.
the play-by-play. Um, like in that second half, the Jets possessions, field goal, missed field goal, interception.
Mm,
That's tough.
yeah.
Tough. Because Buffalo didn't really do anything until they got that field goal in the fourth. They were kind of held in check for a bit, and Jets seem to have opportunities. I mean, if you go and look at the stats from the game, I mean, pretty even. I think the Jets even outgained them in total yards, slight advantage in time of possession, but just couldn't convert on those field goals, and set up the opportunity for Buffalo to cash in. So good for us.
Mhm.
All
Yeah, it was a
right.
good win. I think the read was just kind of that Josh Allen has struggled in the spot playing at MetLife, the last couple of years, but at the same time, I think the Bills desperately needed a win, and this was kind of an opportunity for two teams that I think were both in a desperate need for one
Yeah.
to kind of show what they got. So Yeah, I mean, I think that's just what we've seen from the Bills and specifically Josh Allen for the past couple of years, where, when they need it, he can, they can kind of lean on him. And, he didn't put up insane numbers, but he had that rushing touchdown early. It seems like we might have had sort of a McCaffrey, Jordan Mason situation with the running backs in Buffalo where James Cook was kind of leaning towards playing and then all of a sudden he was out and it seemed like Ray Davis was prepared for that and he stepped in, had a nice 90-yard game. So, yeah, I mean, we were just picking the Bills to win there. We knew that it was probably going to be a grind. Just with how the Bills were made up, it wasn't going to be some sort of blowout. But yeah, we took them to win, and luckily we were on the right side of that number.
Yep. Yeah, the Ray Davis kid played well. He
Yeah.
went
Great,
out. He was
great.
So,
That 90 yards also feels a lot different because of how he runs. Like
yeah.
he only had 90 yards, but he was like that was a bruising. Like he kind of just beat the fuck out of them. So
It's like an Isaiah Pacheco. Like,
kind of, yeah. Like that was a grueling. Like he's
yeah.
a beast.
Yeah, it's like dog yards, 90 feels like 130.
Yeah, legit.
So, all right. So so 2 and 3 week, that puts us at, where are you? 11 and 19 overall. Obviously not great, not where we want to be, but, last couple of weeks we've been able to, be at 500. We were 3-2 in week 5, 2-3 in week 6. Coming off a 1-4 week, we had a couple of those early. So, steadying the ship a little bit, maybe, and just really prepping ourselves to go on a big run, to go on a heater. So feeling good about that. Should we go to the wheel?
Well,
Please.
we got to do the London game.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
All right. You have a wheel for the foreign, what did he call himself?
Correspondent.
Correspondent.
Foreign correspondent.
No, I don't even know what a wheel
Foreign
for him looks like.
correspondent.
Bro, he's kind of like our Sergio Dip. Just like gets on the mic and he just gets going.
Oh my God, look at this.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right. It's almost embarrassing to keep showing up on this program and give out absolute stinkers. The Jags, lifeless in London. Pumpkin season. Shout out to Down East Cider. Shout out Armani, Circa million. We're not winning any millions with my picks, but sometimes you just got to go with what you saw recently. It's what have you done for me lately, league. Jags look lifeless. Drake May looked all right. Give me the Pats with the points. I'll ride with the hometown team across the pond. It is New England, after all. Probably going 0-3.
That's unbelievable. What a freaking character. So I feel like this is the reverse coach jinx.
Yeah.
I
This
think
is Doug's revenge. This is gonna be Doug's revenge.
I think he's gonna win this pick.
You think he's gonna win it?
And I think instead of him being, the curse and that he picks the coach, they lose and get fired. I think by being on the opposing side and getting a W, I think he's gonna give Doug the knockout blow. That's my prediction.
Wow.
We're gonna win this game.
I mean, a Drake May outright win in London. That might be like with this Pats team. That might be the last. That's got to be the last straw, right? With Peterson, if that were to happen, that's. I mean, it's tough out there. It's tough out there.
Yes, Kieran, what do you think of the pick?
Yeah, I like the pick. The Jags have been playing like shit. ETN, he's been dealing with an injury. It sounds like he might still be able to play. I think he was practicing, but yeah, they're just in a bad spot. I do like, how the Patriots were playing last week, even though they still lost by a decent margin. I don't necessarily love either side because I still think the Patriots are very bad. I do just kind of question how they're playing as well. I've been talking about it a bunch recently, but I just want to see them go out and just play like literally like they have nothing to lose. Go out, go for two all the time, go for it on fourth down all the time. Just throw it all over the place. Like fuck establishing the run. Like who gives a shit about any of that? Just go out, let Drake May sling it, let him make mistakes, let him play however. I do think that there is still, an opportunity here where the Jags, they have been in London and maybe we're kind of sleeping on them. Maybe we're suckers for fading them in the spot just because they've been out there, they've been acclimated. But it is a big number. And I typically hate that 5.5 point favorite anyways. So, with the way the Jags have been playing, I would probably still lean the Pats.
All right.
Low scoring affair potentially. Low scoring affair.
All right. Pats is the pick. Foreign correspondent.
Picking just the London games are fucking brutal too. That'd be that's a big ask. I think that's a those games are always so weird.
I mean, he asked for this job.
I no, I like it. It's just I wouldn't want to be in his shoes because if what were we saying? He
I
might
actually don't think he did. I'm pretty sure it was me that suggested it. He was cool just being an angel investor.
Well, this is the life. Regardless, it's the life he chose.
yeah, it's fair.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Tristan.
All right. Well, Bowen and I were talking about this before you get on, Kieran. I'm curious. I think we both think we've got a little bit of a spicy pick. I'm curious if it's the same pick. We're about to find out. Um, but I'm going to go with the one that's a little ugly. I'm taking the Giants plus 3.5 over the Eagles. Jones gets Neighbors back. I think that's huge, especially against a secondary that's been awful. Singletary is supposed to be back. Sounds like he's going to share some touches with Tracy. I think Dable said, really felt like that kid earned some opportunities, but I think Singletary obviously adds something really nice to that backfield. He's been playing well. Eagles are also dealing with some serious injuries. I think, Kieran, you actually shared the Jordan Mailata news earlier in the week. He's gone to the IR. Dallas Goedert's out. Byron Young, sounds like unexpected injury popped up towards the end of the week. He might be going on the IR. Jalen Hurts, 7-15-1 ATS is a favorite on the road. Daniel Jones is 23-15 ATS off a loss. He's also 22-16 ATS in the early window. I like him to hang tough. I do think they're showing a lot of moxie the last few weeks. They had that surprising win over Seattle in Seattle. Even though they only scored like 7 points last week, they were hanging in that game against the Bengals. Kind of kept it close against an offense that's been pretty explosive the last couple of weeks. Thought there was something impressive in that. I think the Eagles are just kind of like not good. So I'm gonna take the Giants with the 3 in the hook. That's the pick.
Yeah, Tristan, that was my spicy pick of the week. That was my number.
Oh, the wheel.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. I kind of had a feeling we were talking about the same game, but just to kind of go off of your Hurt 7-15-1 against the spread, that's the fourth least profitable quarterback of the last 20 years in that spot for him. So favorite on the road, pretty horrible at it. Don't love all the injuries for the Eagles. Nick Sirianni is an absolute clown after last week and since forever, but last week especially. Somehow they came out of the weekend the biggest losers after winning a football game. It's a tough look. You can't be winning games and like fighting with your fans. I just think weirdly, even though the Giants didn't win last week, haven't really been very good all year. I do think the Giants and the Eagles are kind of trending in different directions, even though the records might not show it. Giants have Neighbors, who's been a star immediately. Their defense has been actually pretty good with Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, who are both actually going to be playing this week because they were not practicing earlier in the week. They're both going to probably be a go on Sunday. I think the Giants went outright at home. Like to have them at 3.5, but I think money line's the play there. For me this week, it just feels like a game the Giants win. Dayball going for it on fourth down every time last week, kind of just like made me feel a little something too. I kind of like how they're just playing, no fucks given kind of football, and love the spot for them. So good pick.
Thank you. Kieran?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think historically it definitely does. The matchup definitely favors the Eagles just because Sirianni and versus Dayball, the Eagles have kind of dominated that. I think the only win the Eagles have had in that spot has been last week, like last year, the last week of the season, where Philly kind of rested their starters for most of the game. But I do think looking at it from just the view of this season, I do like the matchup for the Giants. I just think that with Neighbors back, I think he can have a massive game and they can do enough on the ground to kind of keep things balanced. And I especially like the relationship that Slayton and Jones have been reestablishing, since both of them have been back, especially with Neighbors out and Slayton having to step up as that number one guy. So, yeah, I mean, I do like the Giants here as home dogs. But I mean, I could definitely see it being kind of just a weird game. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I just kind of hate the Eagles this year. I think that's just like a fade team for me, where it's like it just does feel like Sirianni's a fired guy. And I definitely have questions about that, just that offense. It feels like they have the pieces, but it just doesn't feel like they really have much of a system there. So, yeah, I like the Giants here getting the points at home.
All right. Back to the wheel.
Benjamin.
All right. Yeah, Tristan, when you had mentioned having a spicy pick, I got kind of nervous knowing that you and Bowen both had a spicy pick because I felt like if the three of us all came with the same one, uh, that would be a bad sign, I think. If the three of us all thought that we had the same spicy, underdog pick, that would just be terrible. So, I'm kind of relieved that the one at the top of my card remained untouched. Because I think this is a pretty ugly game, but I'm taking Miami +3. I mean, I think these are the types of games I like to take. I think this Dolphins defense, they're pretty solid. There's no JT playing. I do think that there are a lot of questions about how this offense can operate with Anthony Richardson. He's just a guy that cannot complete a lot of passes. So if they're able to prevent or at least limit, the deep throws, especially, the plays that Alec Pierce likes to make, plus, Pittman and Downs are also very capable of breaking loose for one of those plays. If they can just limit that, I think that they can stay in a really good spot. I mean, I think Huntley is, he's not a great quarterback. I know it's kind of a joke that he made the Pro Bowl off of like 3 starts just because that's how many people back out of the Pro Bowl for all sorts of reasons. But this Indy secondary, they're pretty bad. I think that this could be a good game where Hill and Waddle can kind of get some stats back. A-Chain, it sounds like he's healthy. He's ready to go. And I think this is a good matchup for the Dolphins run game as well. I think that, this Indy defense, they've been getting slashed, through the air, on the ground. And I think that this run scheme with a healthy running back can be really good. So I mean, I like the Dolphins getting the points here.
I like it. I like the pick. Coming off extended rest too, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. And I desperate for a win. Tua maybe coming back week 8. Sounds like could be possibly. But they've had time to game plan, and I feel like probably have and been anticipating that Richardson would be back by now. So to your point, um, figuring out what they need to do to shut him, contain him, and prevent those big plays. But I still like, even though their quarterback situation is a mess, like I love your point about the defense. I agree, it's a solid defense, but like there are just too many playmakers on that team that like I just can't. They've got like at some point they've got to figure out a way to get that offense going.
Yeah, and Huntley's a guy like I don't think he was with them at all through the preseason. I think he was an
No.
end of the
Yeah.
preseason roster guy. And, he's finally getting, 1 or 2 starts under his belt. He's coming off a bye week. I think this is a
Yeah.
good spot for him to kind of settle in as that quarterback for the team. And
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, he's not great. It's not ideal to have him be your starting quarterback, especially when
Yeah.
you're a team that had aspirations of making the playoffs and, hopefully competing for a Super Bowl. So, I'm not going to stand here and act like he's even in the top half of quarterbacks or even really top 25, I wouldn't say.
Perfect football
But
plan.
I mean, I think he's good enough. I mean, I think
Yeah.
if you're a starting quarterback in this league and you can just deliver the ball and get it to your playmakers' hands, then you can get the job done. And they have some of the best playmakers in the league, and I think that he's capable of
Well,
just getting.
I remember that first game he started. I forget who they were playing, but he had like 3 shots at Tyreek where Tyreek was open, and I think it was a matter of like, not having the timing, having not really worked together. He was probably just a little off because again, I think he was a late that, they got him in late.
Yeah, like how many reps realistically? How many
Yeah,
reps has he had
yeah,
with Tyreek Hill up to that point?
yeah,
3.5 practices.
yeah.
Like,
But the
like,
looks,
maybe.
like the looks and the shots were there, and again, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier of like, they've got so many playmakers on offense, like Tyreek Hill is going to be open. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of like, can he deliver the ball?
Yeah.
And so I think just to bring it home, as you were saying, Kieran, and it's like, he's coming off that bye, he's that extra time to kind of get the reps, the timing down. And if he can deliver the ball, like, this might finally be a week where we see Tyreek do a couple things because he can get it to him.
Hmm.
So, I like it. Good pick.
Yeah, I like the pick a lot. I feel the same way about it as you guys. Just a lot of weapons. Say what you want about Mike McDaniel, but he can scheme up a game, here and there. Maybe you're not able to beat the really really good teams, but the Colts are not that. So, especially with Anthony Richardson, he just has not played a lot of football in the NFL, and he has not won a lot of games in the NFL.
Hasn't played a lot of football in general,
Yeah,
really.
right. Like we just haven't seen it. So like, I mean, we've seen more from Tyler Huntley than Aaron Richardson. So
Getting
uh,
three too, like
yeah,
so.
is that line still that
Let me
with
look.
Anthony Richardson being like an official?
Let me see if it's moved. Pull up the.
Because they did. What do they send him out Thursday morning?
Let's see.
Yeah, it's still 3.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. That's the thing about Anto. I don't even know what line movement I expected from him being announced as playing. I thought maybe would actually go like, you know, 2.5, 2 points.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I like to pick a lot,
All right. Back to the wheel.
Yep.
please.
All
All
right.
right. I'm going Commanders. Uh, taking what is it, 7.5? It is on Circa. Playing the Panthers.
Yeah.
Think they absolutely boat race these Panthers. The Panthers have given up 34 plus points in 5 of their 6 games this year. The only game they didn't was the Andy Dalton, first game against the Raiders. Um, they've really come back down to earth. That defense has had some big blows, injury wise, and just overall play wise. They're just not a very good defense. Commanders off a loss to the Ravens that we talked about earlier in the show. They had their moments. They played a good game. Obviously, Ravens are really, really good. I like them just to bounce back and trounce the Panthers. I don't expect it to be very close at all. I think it could be like a mid to high 30s to like low teens kind of score. Somewhere there where it's just not close really the entire way. Um, Jaden Daniels, that offense has looked fantastic. Um, they've pretty much scored on everybody, moved the ball on everybody. Even when they get in their own way, they are like one of the best teams in the league, converting drives with their sacks or penalties on. Either putting 3 on the board or scoring. Just they don't really have seemingly any weakness currently with Jaden Daniels leading the way and the guys they have around him. The run game. Um, I expect big things from Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler this weekend. I think they both will just steamroll over these Panthers, who seeming like they kind of like lost their Andy Dalton, little moment there, and momentum. I think it's kind of dog days again. Think they're things are gonna get a little bit worse before they get better in Carolina, and I like the bounce back spot for the Commanders. Also, just saw a graphic a little bit ago. Uh, Seemingly everybody on the Panthers offense is like on the trade block. It was like some ESPN graphic showing potential guys who could be available in the next few weeks. It's like Thielen, Deontay, Jonathan Mingo, Bryce Young. It just feels like a really, really, really dark time to be a Panthers fan, and think the Commanders just take care of business.
I I was looking at this game. I was leaning Commanders myself. I think, um, you know, I think it will be a high scoring game, and I think it's just going to be a matter of whether or not the Commanders can create enough separation. Um, I do think that, I don't know if this is going to like come off as a weird thing to say, but like I feel like this is a bit of an important game for Washington because they're, 4-2. They're, what, a half game up on Philly right now. Um, Dallas is in a bit of a vulnerable spot, 3-3. They're going to come off the bye. They got to, play San Francisco, which is going to be tough. They're going to play Atlanta, which is going to be tough. Like, they're going to have a tough stretch coming up. And I feel like this is the kind of game, like, you got to take care of business. And I feel like, it can be a little bit of a statement game of like, if you can go out and boat race them, like you said, I think that just can, like, that can reinstill some confidence in that, like, hey, even though we didn't take care of business against Baltimore, lost by a score, like, we're cleaning up the shit of the league.
Mhm.
And, we know we can play, you
Yeah.
know. But if you let Carolina hang around and it's a little bit closer, all of a sudden it's like, all right, Washington's coming back to, down to earth. And,
Mhm.
that's where maybe a little bit of self-doubt can creep in and, you don't really know where things will go from there. So, I like the pick. I mean, like I said, I was leaning there. I didn't end up putting it on my card, but I like it.
Yeah, I'd probably pick the Commanders here just because of the chance that there was just like a total blowout and Jaden Daniels in that offense put up 49 points or something like that. But overall, it is a big number, and I know Brian Robinson he was limited today, so he's not officially a go for practice. I think that they're optimistic, and I think they're really looking forward to whenever they do have him back in the offense. I saw Kingsbury and Dan Quinn both talking about him, and they really feel like he's important to that team and important to what that offense does. So, with it being such a big number, I would just like to see the offense at full health, especially with a key guy like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's like Tristan said, going to be a high scoring game. I think it's a good offensive matchup for both sides. I think that both running games can really get it going there. So we'll see. But yeah, like I also said to start it off, I would still probably lean the Commanders just because I could totally see them just completely blowing them out.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we got a Sunday night and two Monday night games.
Yeah, so
So,
I have all three games on the wheel.
okay. All
We'll
right. We'll
just
do
spin
it
for
that
one.
way. Got it.
And the Baltimore Pittsburgh is oh no, sorry.
Yeah, fine.
The Baltimore Tampa Bay is Sunday.
Yeah,
Yes.
Got
Yep.
it. Got it.
we're doing Chargers, Cardinals.
Woof. It's
It's 2.5.
like the least exciting of the three games.
2.5 for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Cardinals are the 2.5 home dogs. Yes.
Interesting.
All right. Back to
Oh,
the
that's an interesting one.
game wheel. Ooh, gonna be close.
Wow.
Ah, it's me.
Wow. I didn't know when that stopped.
That was
Yeah, I
right
can
on the
kind of see it.
line.
I can
Couldn't
kind of see
tell.
it just slightly on my side.
All
All right.
right.
I'm gonna start it off. I like the Chargers here, -2.5 on the road. I just kind of feel like this is a Harbaugh matchup. Harbaugh versus Gannon. I'm gonna take Harbaugh there. Um, I like the Chargers matchup here. I think that J.K. Dobbins can really get it going on the ground. I think that this could be a good Lad McConkey game. The Cardinals are dealing, with Marvin Harrison being out with a concussion, and yeah, I just feel like it's going to be tough for that offense to get it going. I just don't really think that they can lean on Trey McBride. I don't think it's a great matchup for him, so I don't think that he's going to be able to carry them like they maybe need him to in the absence of Harrison. So yeah, I just like the Chargers here. I think that their defense could kind of, maybe not smother the Cardinals, but I think that they can, just keep them down enough and, they can kind of play their game and run the clock, run it a bunch of times and just, find the right spots with Lad McConkey in the passing game and keep the ball moving. But yeah, I like the Chargers here to win. And, all they need is a field goal. But all right.
Back to the wheel.
All right.
Should I pull a Bowen and just go the other side just to see what Bowen? Um,
For what it's worth, that's the only reason I'm kind of opposed to doing the wheel for every time because I feel like if you are on the other side, you should
yeah.
speak up because you never know who if that third guy, you never know if you might be 50-50.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I am on the Chargers side though. Harbaugh 5-1 in Monday Night Football against the spread. Herbert's played in 4 of them. He's 3-1 against the spread in Monday Night Football. As you pointed out, Kieran, Cardinals are awful against the run. I think they're a bottom 3 or bottom 4 team. That's where the strength of this Chargers offense lies. You said it, J.K. Dobbins. Feels like it's going to be a big game for them. I see him running all over them, imposing their will. Um, I don't know what the status with Marvin Harrison Jr. is because it sounds like he was out of the non-contact and back in it. They said things are encouraging for him. But I'm not sure that was enough to even sway me back to the other side at all. I think I still like the read with just the Chargers run game really taking over, imposing their will, um, just kind of controlling the clock, controlling the pace of the game. Maybe in some ways, even if he plays, taking him out of it a little bit because it just slows the game down. So I like the Chargers here. I liked your point too of as I said, Harbaugh's got a good record on Monday Night Football. That obviously goes back to his, 49ers days. But, I just feel like he's a veteran coach, loves these types of moments, loves these spots. He's going to be ready. He's going to have his guys ready. So I like him.
Do we gotta hit the wheel for Bowen?
I think
Please.
Bowen wants the wheel. He's waiting for the wheel. Look at him.
I can't just speak out of
he was
turn.
not budging.
I can't just speak out of turn.
He was not budging. Oh, right on the
All
line.
right.
Very fitting.
Yeah, it's the Chargers. They no brainer for me. Harbaugh on primetime, you just know he's gonna bring it. Like the matchup, like you guys have touched on. Um, think the Chargers win pretty handily. Just it's Harbaugh's night every night. Whenever he's playing a night game, it's just kind of how it goes. So, yeah, Chargers.
All right. We got the picks. So we're going 40, the foreign correspondent takes the Patriots plus 5.5. Kiernan's on the Dolphins plus 3 against the Colts. I'm on the Giants plus 3.5 against the Eagles. Bowen's on the Commanders minus 7.5 against the Panthers. And then unanimous pick with the Chargers Monday Night Football minus 2.5 against the Cardinals.
What's our record?
11 and 19.
All right.
And I have just submitted the picks, and we are in.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. 5-0. This is it.
Yeah, I mean, a 5-0 week really does flip that season around. 16 and 19 wouldn't be too bad.
I mean, you do it twice, and all of a sudden you're at 21 and 19. And
Yeah.
I mean, 16 and 19, we're like right back home. Like that's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like we're right there.
Yep.
We're right there.
Absolutely.
That's
yeah. It's like golf. Like you're always just one great shot from being right back in the hole. And this could be our great shot right here coming up. So
yeah,
I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
All right. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Later, guys.
I'll see you guys.